Thank you for joining us once again. In case you're joining us for the first time, this is Healthful Living. We are happy to have you once again. My name is Kevin Matelong and my guest is Sister Zahara, and we are going to look at healthful cookery. We thank you for joining us, and just before we start, she's going to greet us, then we'll move on into the kitchen.
Good evening, viewer. We are most welcome to this program. Be blessed.
Thank you so much. Last week we were studying a lot. We looked at how milk, which has been regarded as superfood for the past many decades, is not actually what we think of. When you go to the internet, you find a lot of people talking about it, but recent research show that it is not the best thing to be taken for our stomach and even for our health and even for our mind. We thank you for the questions which you have kept them flowing since the very first episode, and we still encourage you. You can always send the questions. You can always ask what is not clear or comment on what we can do to improve the program further. On Facebook we are Healthful Living, and we also have the website which you can see below. Thank you. Sister, we want to talk about healthful cookery, and just before you start waiting for us to leave to the kitchen, we are going to do it theoretically, but with time we are going to take you to the kitchen to see the actual things. Does it matter? Does the cooking of the food, how you cook, does it matter? It is obviously yes. Now, we have various foods, and as we discuss health, we look at how food is cooked, which food, and even how you eat. We have touched on the borders of most of these topics, and we hope to dig deeper as we move on. So tell us something about how to cook. We are looking at veggies today, then next week we'll be looking at grains and legumes and so forth. So tell us something about vegetables.
Now, when cooking vegetables, we know that they have a lot of vitamins and a lot of minerals. But one funny thing with them is when you prepare them, you can benefit or you may not benefit. For instance, when you cook your vegetables until they are brown, you lose all the vegetables. If you had to cook your vegetables, they have to remain green. Number two, when you're cooking your vegetables, you make sure that you cover them so that the nutrients do not evaporate. If you leave them open, you will lose the value. Number four, even the way you cut them, the more you slice them smaller, the more you expose the minerals and the more they disappear. So we prefer that you cut them relatively big pieces. You cook them until they are tender. Then there is another lady who was cooking vegetables, but she had calcium problems, yet they are very high in calcium. And one thing I came to analyze, there were something like 3 reasons. Reason number 1, they were cooking them to brown, which I've already said. Number 2, they were cooking them and they put them in a fridge. They cook them today, they eat them after some many days. And on rewarming them, they pass them via the microwave. When you cook your vegetables in that way, you will lose all the vegetables, all the minerals. So how do you cook? One, if you are to use oil, we prefer that you don't put oil first. What you do, put vegetables with a little water, steam them until they are tender. Then cut your tomatoes and onions. And when you cut these onions, don't cut them fast and leave them exposed. When you cut them and leave them exposed, they begin to collect dust. So by the time you use them, actually they are contaminating the food. So put a little water in the sufria, put your kitungu, put your nyanya, your hoho, everything you want to use with a little water. Steam them while covered. They make a soup. Then you can add your steamed vegetables and then mix with the ingredients and just season them with a little oil. That oil should be liquid, and we prefer sunflower oil. But alternatively, in Kenya, they love cooking vegetables with milk, but we saw that milk is not healthy for the body. So what you can do, you can use peanut butter, add a little water for it to make a soup, then you add in there with the vegetables. Or you can use coconut milk, or any other nut's milk, it will make your vegetables tasty.
Wow, I believe that is a lot of information just in a little while. We can come again and look at them now more clearly. Remember when I was young, okay, I'm not old, but when I was younger than now, mom will tell us these vegetables, ensure you put enough of firewood until around 3 hours later. That is possibly managu or pumpkin leaves. Then we will come in the evening, it is now brown. Then she tells us we can now tunaweza tukakaanga sasa. So when you compare what you have said, now we need to be specific. How long should we steam it, or should we just cook vegetables directly? That is possibly the first questions. You note that brown food is just leaves. It is not vegetables which are good for the body. So how long should food stay, that is vegetables? And I believe you are grouping even pumpkin leaves in the same group with managu and spinach and sukuma wiki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alternatively, we could not expect your vegetables to stay on fire for more than 15 minutes, but just ensure that the texture is tender. They should not be choking. And number two, there are some vegetables which are hard, like pumpkin leaves, and some people prefer using magadi, which is very disastrous. Some people use baking powder.
Yeah.
So if your species of vegetable is hard, just get some ash, put water, leave it to settle, get a sieve, then you sieve the top clear water, add to the vegetable. It will make them tender and cook faster to be soft in the 15 minutes or less.
So you have it 15 minutes, not 3 hours or 4 hours. You talked about cutting in small pieces. I believe that one is more clear to our dear viewer. Then covering. Now, what about covering? Just covering it and not covering it. What is the science behind that?
In chemistry, there's something we call volatile, whereby some vitamins and some minerals, when they're exposed to a lot of heat, they disappear. So when you cover while steaming or cooking them, as they're trying to escape, they cool around the covering, then they go back. So that is, you're not losing any value of your food.
Okay, so you also have that one as clear as possible. You talked about the ingredients, the viungo, kitunguu, nyanya, and so forth. You say that they should not put the onions first and leave them to golden brown. We know there is that fashion of ensuring that golden brown first. What is the danger of that? Or is it just being different for the sake of being different?
It's not just fashionable. It's because when you put oil in the sufria first, when you look at it clearly, it begins to disperse and it becomes almost like more watery. Now that process is a process of releasing free radicals which are carcinogenic in nature.
Cancer causing, yeah.
Cancer causing, they make you age fast, they destroy body tissues, they reduce the calcium. So if you want, that's why when you put the kitunguu, it is burnt to black. Whenever food turns black, it turns carcinogenic.
Yeah.
So for you to use oil safely, it's safer you put it last, that it's not having direct contact with the hot pan.
I in fact noticed that when you take the vitungu, the onions and the other ingredients, you put them in the sufuria. By covering it alone, you will not even need to add water. By the time you want to put the vegetables, it's already that smooth. When you are cooking vegetables, we are told that they are supposed to be crunchy. When you taste it, when you are eating, it's supposed to be crunchy, not that which when you bite it's just like ugari or chapati. Now, concerning the magadi, the magadi and the baking powder, what is the danger in them that we should not use it to soften some vegetables?
Magadi and baking powder, they cause indigestion in the stomach. They as well corrode the stomach. They can predispose you to peptic ulcers, the ulcers of the stomach, and it becomes inflamed. They increase also the acidity of the stomach, the acidic pH. So avoiding them can be a very better option, and then you use ash.
Okay. Thank you for that. As we are almost coming to the end of this first session, we do a lot of mistakes when cooking vegetables. That's why we continue eating vegetables. You know, the doctors recommend that we take a lot of vegetables, more than any other, that is vegetables, that is greens, more than meat and any other thing like milk. But the problem is we take a lot of vegetables, yes, but they are overcooked. And overcooking, there is also undercooking. I don't know if you can talk about that, but there is overcooking in this case. That one is very clear from the discussion you have just had. And by overcooking, you kill the important materials, the important components found in this thing. So it is good to ensure you cook within 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're already eating. It will be green and it will be having life in it. But the more you cook, the more dead they become, and the more leaves you eat, which are not healthy to the body. So possibly can vegetables be undercooked?
Yeah, you can as well undercook them, but according to the research I've done, few people undercook vegetables.
Okay.
Always it's overcooking. Yeah.
I think that one is also good. You will hardly undercook vegetables. As we are near the first end of the first session, we'll be coming back and we'll be discussing salads and fruits. We'll look at which fruits are supposed to be eaten, how they are eaten, and how they're supposed to be prepared before they are eaten. We'll also look a little bit on combination of food. Please don't go away.